Good evening. Welcome to Healing the Divide, produced by Methodology Books. We don't bring you news and politics for the sake of discussion. Our responsibility is the bigger picture. Donald Trump is constantly giving the American people everything they need to be rid of him once and for all. The problem is that the people are swept from news cycle to news cycle by everyone in media. This includes corporate media as well as many of the independent networks. This is not intended as a criticism of the latter. Corporate media does it on purpose to keep ratings. Independent media just tries to keep up with them to bring either clarity or the things corporate media fails to share. We want to do something different tonight. There are some movies that begin somewhere in the middle, and then to get us up to speed, they'll put something on the screen like 2 weeks earlier and then take us back to where everything began. We are going to begin this episode with our main point and then take us back to show the gravity of the issue.
And nobody on the other side was killed. Ashley Babbitt was shot by an out-of-control police officer that should have never, ever shot her. It's a disgrace. But we didn't do this group.
Trump said two things here: that corporate media is not addressing it as they should, and independent media is not making a big enough deal about it either. He said nobody on the other side was killed. Two important things to consider right here. One, he has constantly complained that people were killed by Black Lives Matter and Antifa protesters, especially when trying to make a case for the January 6th insurrectionist traitors. Two, he has made it clear that he has chosen sides, and by saying the other side, he's referring to the people, primarily Capitol Police, and the members of Congress and the Senate, and he's saying the insurrectionists were his side. He lifts the insurrectionist Ashley Babbitt over and above the police officers who were trying to stop her. He spoke ill of the police officer who shot and killed her, and then slipped and said "we," then caught himself and said "this group of people." Listen.
It's a disgrace. But we didn't do this group.
Trying to get compliance, but this is now effectively a riot.
49 hours declaring it a riot.
35 to 50 be advised, Capitol Police 1 advised they're trying to breach and get into the Capitol.
We have a breach of the Capitol! Breach of the Capitol! We need to hold the doors of the Capitol. I need court support. We lost the line. We lost the line.
Since the people you see storming the Capitol is his side and the police are the other side, where does that leave us? His side was shouting, "Hang Mike Pence." Then consider that he watched his side commit this act of treason for 3 hours straight. And just as a reminder, the day this was going on, Matt Gaetz yelled out that this was done by none other than the terrorist organization called Antifa. He said this because at that time, he and all the Republicans had their sanity at the time and agreed that this was an evil act. We know what happened once they heard from their orange god. And to think, then a number of Republican representatives went to visit them in the jail to make sure they were okay. Then compound that with the fact that they actually sang a modified version of the national anthem. They call these villains and traitors the J6 choir. Can you believe that? A choir. But let's not lose sight of the point. Our point is that Trump once again told on himself as to where he really stands. The question is, how many of his followers will notice that he distanced himself from them in the same breath that he claimed to be speaking up for them?
Mr. President, on January 6th, you told your supporters to march to the Capitol. You said you would be right there with them. The country and the world saw what played out at the Capitol that day, the officers coming under attack. Aides in the West Wing say you watched it unfold on television off the Oval Office. You did send out tweets, but it was more than 2 hours before you sent out that video message telling your supporters to go home. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day?
You just said a thing that isn't covered. Peacefully and patriotically, I said during my speech, not later on. Peacefully and patriotically. And nobody on the other side was killed. Ashley Babbitt was shot by an out-of-control police officer that should have never, ever shot her. It's a disgrace. But we didn't do this group of people that have been treated so badly.
I was at the Capitol on January 6th. I was the vice president-elect.
Having been reminded of all this, doesn't it raise your eyebrows at least a little to learn that the Fraternal Order of Police, the Policemen's Union, is actually endorsing Donald Trump? Thank you for joining us. If you like our video, please click the like and subscribe buttons on our channel. Thank you for joining us. I'm Laura. Good night.